Welcome viewers. I'm going to continue with my one-stop shop ultimate guide of Excel functions. As you remember, I have covered the date and time and some basic mathematics and some math functions in my previous videos. I'm going to cover the text functions today, and we are going to cover in the upcoming videos all these uh, functions with different categories like logical functions, lookup functions, and financial related functions. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and get notification whenever the new video is uploaded. As you can see, there are a variety of functions we are going to cover. This should be your ultimate guide to all the Excel functions you need to learn to be able to excel in Excel. Okay, let's jump to our topic today, and we are going to work on text related functions. This is a different layout. I made it like more user friendly format so that we can see things clearly. I have some this is the topic we are going to cover. I have all the functions here in this drop down menu, which are related to text functions, and this is the title of the functions we are talking about, and this is what the function does, and obviously this is the syntax of the function, how the function looks like, whether there are any arguments, or if there are any arguments, is it mandatory arguments or the optional arguments. This is where we are going to apply some examples. It's always easy to learn by examples, and this is our working area. So let's start with our very first function without wasting our time. The very first function is char or character, whatever you want to call it. Not widely used function, or not entirely being used in the business works, but there is a function anyway. This returns the character a particular code represents. ASCII is a character set of different codes. American Standard of Code for Information Interchange, that ASCII stands for. There are 255 different characters, and each character has a code. So for example, if I just write over here 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, and just apply the function like this one, and it will return what that code represents. These codes are used in the processing of information, and what we see in front is this, what is happening in background is this. We do not need to learn all these things. This is just for information purpose only. If I just copy this thing down here, 102F has a code of 102, G has a code of 103, and H has a code of 104, and so on and so on. I can actually show the ASCII character set over here, and you can find plenty of information on in the Google over there. As you can see, these are the ASCII codes, and these are the ASCII characters. If I go for ASCII code, for example 75, that represents K, let's see, is equal to character, and then pass 75 as an argument and just press, and it will return the K. You can use it for different reasons, but I don't see their use in our day-to-day business functions. You know, as I explained earlier, the thing in the parenthesis is called the argument, and the name straight after the is equal to sign and before the parenthesis is the function name. So this is the character, this is the function char or character, whatever you want to call it. Let's move to our next function, and let's see, it is called clean. This removes all the non-printable character from the text. You just have to provide the text in parentheses. I can't think of any non-printable characters. If you have any non-printable characters in your text, you can simply use the clean function, and the clean function will remove that character from your text. Next function is code. This return the numeric code for the first character in the string. For example, if I have a name here, for example London, and is equal to, I apply this formula to this string, sorry, code, and then London 76. This is an opposite of what we have done with the char character. Char returns the character from the number, and code return the code from the character. So if we apply the char formula here, is equal to char, and see what is the character for number 76, it should return L over here. And what is the code function is doing here, the very first character of your string, it will provide you the ASCII code for that character. So character, the char function provides the character from the code, and the code provide the number or the code from the character from the string. Not that difficult, not that widely used, but the function is there anyway. The next function is CONCAT. This is a new version of concatenate function, and this is an important function. As you can see, it joins a series of texts together. For example, if I say a quick brown fox, and if I want to join these, I can just type is equal to, and then concat, and as you can see, when I'm typing this function, it is giving you the old function that is called the concatenate function, and it has that yellow triangle of warning symbol that this function is not used anymore, and this is the new version of that function. We just can provide so it has joined all the text together, and you can obviously use the spaces in between if you want to. If I just instead of, I just type a space over here, and like this. Or if you don't want to use a space, and you want to use London UK, you can use this function in this format as well, concat, and this obviously then you have to press comma and your space, and then this one, London UK. So there are two different ways you can use this function. You can use as a series, or you can add whatever you want to add in that text that you want to join with the text, like this. You can see this format over here. So this is a concat function. I believe this function is useful and being used quite a lot of time in your workings personally or in work environment. So do practice this function, and it's not very difficult function, quite easy to remember. Next function is dollar function. It converts a number to a text using the currency symbol. So for example, if I have an amount over here for say 100, and I just put a currency symbol over here, put the accounting format like this, and I want to convert this to a text using the currency symbol, what I can use is dollar. Oh, come on. And then I can use this number and I have to give the number of decimal places, and as you can see the decimal places are in the brackets. And what does that brackets mean? Brackets means it is an optional argument. You can give an argument, or you don't want to give, then if I said the two decimal places and press enter. So what has happened now here? This number has been converted to text format using the currency symbol with two decimal places. It looks like a number, but it is not a number. It is a text. Here it is in accounting format, a number. You can add anything to this number, you can multiply, you can divide this number, but this number cannot be added. This is a text format. Sometimes you need a number as a text with the currency symbol. So if you want to that thing, you can use the dollar function. The dollar function is very useful function. You can see the argument over here. The number is obviously the cell, maybe the cell reference, or the number, or the decimal points is an optional argument you can pass to the function. Now let's move to the next function, and the next function is exact function. Check if two texts are exactly the same and return true or false, and this is a case sensitive function. This is a very important function. So for example, if I write two texts here, say London and London, or maybe see, so these even though these sounds like the same texts, but different in terms of the alphabets and case sensitive. If I just want to, for example, see if these two texts are same or not, so I will type exact, and then I will type the text 1 and the text 2. So it returns false because this function is a case sensitive function. All the numbers, all the letters has to be the same in terms of the alphabets and the case. For example, if these are going to be London and London, so it will return true because these two texts are exactly the same in all aspects. If I just change one letter over here, it will return false because this text has used a capital N in the end and this has a small n. As I said earlier, it will return true or false, and it is a case sensitive function. So if you want to check if the two texts in the two different cells or columns are exactly the same, and your data is case sensitive, that it based on the case sensitive information, that you can use this function to check if those two are exactly the same. Very useful function, and do try and learn at home. Remember, it will return true or false in the answer. The next function we are going to find is find, and you can see there are a series of argument in this function, and the starting position is an optional argument as it is in the brackets, and these arguments are the mandatory arguments. You have to provide these arguments. Return the starting position of a text within a text, and again a case sensitive. For example, I will write here something like again London, and if I want to find is equal to find, what I am looking for is D, and where I am looking for is here. And do I need to give the starting position? No, I don't need to give the starting position. That is an optional argument. I will close the brackets and press D. So D is at position 4. 1 2 3 4. What I do, if I change this D to D, so it will return a hash value, means the function fails to find D even though the D is there. But remember, this function is a case sensitive function, and what we have used small d in our function, if I change it to capital D, it will return 4. And if I want to change at the starting position as well, I want to start it from, for example, number 5, text position 5. What will be returned? No value, because we have started the search from the letter O, that is at 5th position in this text. 1 2 3 4 5. If I change it to, say, start from 2, it will return 4. What we can do, we can learn, for example, um, I have a name of I have something, London, and the character O is appearing twice, and we don't want to see it appear twice. What we can do, we can find O and start from position 3. Okay, so see, it is at position 5 in this text. 1 2 3 4 5. So this function returns the position of a text within another text. This is a very basic example, but you can obviously use this for variety of purposes in your business examples. Remember, you have to give what you are looking for in a text, in a text, and what are you looking for, and what is the source text. This is our source text, this is what we are looking for, and if there is a requirement to start after a couple of characters or from the beginning of the character, then this function is very useful. Now let's move to the next function, and that is called fixed. So this function convert the number to text with two optional arguments. This is some thing like similar to dollar function we did minutes ago, but this is without the currency symbol as it was happened with the dollar function. What will happen, this function serves multiple purposes. For example, if I have a number and let me put some commas in, and let's just reduce the number. So if I have this number and I want to convert this number to um, to a text, let's see what will happen. Is equal to fixed, and just put this number, and we are not going to use the optional argument at the present, and we have that number as text. And why we have that number as text, if I put just another number over here is equal to 1, and let's see, I have selected these two cells, this one and this one, and it is giving me a sum as 1 only. So this is being considered as text, and it is not counted in these two cells. And if I select this number and this number, it is counting and giving you a sum of these two numbers, because these two cells have the numbers as values. This is look like a number, but it is not a number, it is a text, and we have seen that it has not counted, it is giving the total as sum only. Now let's use some optional argument. So if you don't want, what is happening over here, it is converting this number as text as it is, using commas and using the decimal points. If I don't want a decimal points, for example, what will happen if I said no decimal point? What will this function do? This function round up the number and then return it as a text. So now see, 12,460. What has happened, the fixed function has rounded this 59 to the nearest one, and it is now 12,460, and this is again a text, not a number, and we can see over here it is giving a total as 1, not a total of like 12,461 as in this case. Again, if we want to see the commas, or if you don't want to see the comma, we can do that. If we want to prevent the commas, or we do not want to prevent the commas, for example we want to prevent the commas, and we can just provide this an optional argument again, and you can see what has happened. The function has rounded the figure and removed the commas. If we do not want to round the figure, we can put 2. Now the function has removed the commas but have not rounded the number. Again, this is a text and this is a number. So you can use this function in a variety of ways. There are 2 optional arguments which you can use to convert the numbers to the text. How this is different from the dollar formula. Dollar formula use the currency symbol to convert the numbers to the decimal points. It put the currency symbol and convert the number to the text. But with the fixed formula, you can control whether you want to see the commas, or whether you want to round the number, or whether you don't want to round the numbers. So you can use this in a variety of different ways. Very easy and very useful function if you want to use. The next function in the list is left. Very easy, straightforward function. It will return the number of characters from a string. For example, if I have a United Kingdom and I want to return is equal to left, what text? This text. What want to return? For example, first 5 characters. Is it the first 5 characters from this string? As you see, the number of character you want to return is an optional argument, but obviously without using this, the purpose of the function is actually died. You can use it without any argument. It will return the first character only, the first character only from the string we are using. You can see over here it returns the specified number of characters from a text, but 1 is default. If I change it to London, it will return London. If I will change it to Paris, it will return P. We have not given the number of characters, but if I want to have the number of characters, I can see, for example, 3 characters from this string from the left side. So first 3 characters from this string, it will be PAR. You can see PAR as Paris, and you can actually pass the argument as the string directly as well if you want to. For example, Paris, instead of the cell reference, it will give you the argument as well. So this is very easy. You can use this string directly using this quotation marks, or you can give the cell reference, and always it is the cell reference we normally see being used in the business environment. Okay, so this is the left formula. Now let's see what is we have in our length. So return the number of characters in a text. This is sometimes used to find out the number of characters in a string. For example, if I have again United, or I just change the country to France, and I is equal to length, and then just this string, number of characters are 6, or I say Holland, just change the format to 6, copy. Holland has 6, United Kingdom, and if you copy paste, it will give you 14, including the space as well. Make sure this does include the space. Space is a character when you apply this function. So this is the length function that returns the number of characters in a string, and you can use it obviously by way of cell reference or by way of providing the string directly in the quotation marks. Now let's go to the next function, and the next function is lower. Again, very easy. If I again use the country name, for example France and Holland and any other country, Poland for example, and I want to convert these numbers to the lower form, lowercase, so I will just use lower and then the cell reference. And we can obviously always can use in form of this. You can pass a cell reference or you can provide the strings directly. This will convert the given text into the lowercase. Very easy, very simple, straightforward function. Now what is the next function? This is called, so our next function is mid. As you can see, it returns the character from the middle of the string given the starting position. As we have just seen the function called left. What was happening with the left function? If I apply the text and the number of characters, for example 3, see what is happening. It is returning the 3 characters from the left side, starting from the left, and you can obviously return any number of characters, 1 or 2 or 3. For example, if I want just the first 2 characters of the country name, which is normally the case, we use just 2 characters to represent the country. What is happening with the mid function here? If I don't want any number from the left side, rather I want a number from the middle of the string. So let's see if is equal to mid. What text I'm going to look at is this one. This is a cell reference where I want to start. The number is 3 and how many numbers I want, for example 2. Like this. See, so here 2 characters from the left, here 2 characters from the middle, starting from the third position. Starting from the third position means from A over here. And you can use this function obviously for a variety of reasons. If you want to have find out a particular character from a middle of the string, this is where you always get the numbers from the left side from the very beginning of the character. This is any characters from the middle of the string. You can increase this to 4, for example. And now what we have 2 characters from the function left, we have 4 characters from the function mid, and now let just revise the concatenate function. This and comma this France. So this is again a revision of what we have done previously. Concat function, middle function and left function, and we have just see how this function, these 3 different functions works together. So now let's move to the next function, and the next function is right. Okay, so this is again a similar function to what we have been practicing so far. The left function return the number of characters from the beginning, from the left side of the text. The mid function return the number of characters from the middle of a string, and the right function return the number of characters from the right side of the string. Okay, if I just remove this thing from here and I write right is equal to RIGST, this is your right function, and then just what text, this text, and how many number character, for example just 2 characters from the right side. See, and let's reduce this to 2 characters as well. and copy and paste. Whenever you copy a for cell which has a formula, so always formula copied, not the value. You see, we used the left function to return the 2 character from the left side, we used the mid function to return 2 character from the mid side, and we used right function to correct 2 characters only from the right of the string. And if we can just then concat all together, what we have to do, concat and then text1, text2, text3, and then yes, like this. So similar kind of syntax, same arguments, just the function name is different, and depending your requirement, it will return the number of characters from a string, either from the left side, from the middle, or from the right side of text. Very easy, very useful, very handy functions. So practice and learn, and not difficult at all. Let's move to the next function. It is called a proper. So it will change the case like we have used. Just if I remove all these things and like type France, Holland, or instead I just use formula lower is equal to this. So we are revising the formula as well. So what happened, it has changed the case to the lower case, and if I just want to change a proper case, means the first letter is capital and the rest are small, so I can use proper and then this, and let's see. So you can see the first letter is the capital letter. Very easy, similar in context, just a different way of using it, and depends what you are requiring from the function. The argument is one simple argument, is the text you want to change to the proper case. The next function in our list is replace function, and replace part of a text string with a new text string. So if you want to change a part of the text with something else, we can do that. And how is that thing work? And instead, if we can just practice our upper function first before doing the replace function, so that we can use the similar pattern. If I want to change this lowercase to the uppercase, I just used upper and text string. So this is the lower function, proper function, and upper function. Lower function change the text to the lower case, proper function change the text to the proper case, first letter capital and then rest small, and upper function changes all the text to the uppercase. Just like we have used the left, mid and right function, we have these lower, proper and upper functions, and depends what you want from the function to do, so you can use as required. Now let's move back to our function, and that is replace function. Okay, now our next function is replace. As you can see, quite a long list of arguments you have to pass to the function to get the function works. It's a very easy, straightforward function. For example, if you want to replace a text or characters within an existing text, and how many number of characters you want to replace, at what number you want to start, all these arguments you can see: old text, start number, number of characters you want to replace, and the new text that you want to replace with. For example, I have a very small example over here. I have the country's name. If I want to replace the last characters of the country's name with, for example, just simple space or blank sign, so is equal to replace. What is the old text? This is the old text. and what number I want to start my replacement with. I want to start with 4. Okay, and how many characters I want to replace. I want to replace, for example, 4 characters. And what is the new text? For example, I just want to replace it with space, like see. So what it has done is it has replaced all and D with the blanks, like this. And you can use this function for whatever purposes you are using in business, to replace a string or a character from the beginning, in the middle, or in the last of your text as required, using this function. It's very good, a very helpful function in that sense. Now move to the next function, and the next I has repeat function, rept. This is very simple function. It repeats a text for a number of times within a cell. Just remember, it will replace something within a text, within a cell. For example, if I want to replace is equal to rept, repeat what? Repeat a. Just give, instead of how many times? 5 times. So it will give you 5a. Or if you want to replace with, just put a space in between, 5a's. Simple. It repeats the text, or provided a cell reference the given number of times within a cell. Within a cell is an important understanding. Please make sure you remember that this will do something within a cell. If I want to repeat, now let's see, if I want to replace the cell reference 3 times, and it will repeat this cell 3 times within a cell, within a single cell, within a single cell. There are 2 number of arguments, the text and the number of time you want to repeat that text within that cell. So our next function is the number value function. As you can see, it converts the text to the numbers, but there is 2 or 3 different arguments which we can use in the formula. One is the decimal separator, that is an optional argument, and decimal separator is obviously we normally use 100, 0.25, 100, 1000, 10, or whatever, and the group separator is tens, hundreds, and thousands, and onward. So what's the difference? Text is the mandatory function where you have to provide the text that looks like a number. I have few numbers over here. If you see this number, these texts, I just add all these numbers over here, I get 4 instead of the sum value where normally we get. I have given us a space between this number. It is 100,000, but there is space. This is 100 in normal day-to-day business, 100 point not. This is 100,000, and this is 100 pounds and 25 pence. For example, sometime we normally use this way of mentioning the whole and the points values. Let's convert this number to a number using a number value formula. Number value this, and rest of the arguments are the optional argument. For example, we'll just leave those arguments as it is. What will happen? It will convert that to 100,000. Number value function always remove the spaces between the numbers, and sometimes you will see softwares that generate the reports or the numbers in this format where there are spaces in the numbers. So you can always convert those numbers into the normal numbers which we normally use. For example, in some countries the point is being used as the group separator instead of the comma. So these two figures are same if we see in terms of the normal day-to-day function. So this 100 in normal working represents 100 only, but in some countries or sometime they use point as a group separator. So where this will be used as a group separator, this is 100,000. We have to use that function over there if we are converting this text to value, and we know that point is a group separator, not a decimal separator. So we have to provide the value over here, this text. And for example, we say there is no there is no decimal separator over in this value, and the third argument is the group separator, as you see. So what we are saying this function, that where there is a point, this is a group separator, this is not a point or a decimal separator. So this will return 100,000. This will convert this number to a normal day-to-day function in 100,000. But if we look like it, by the look of it, it is 100 only. But sometime people do use, or in some region they do use dot as a group separator, not as a decimal separator. Similarly, likewise, in some countries they use comma, and this is more frequent than this example. They use comma as a decimal separator instead of the full stop. So if this is a decimal separator, this is only 100, this is not 100,000. And if I want to convert this value to the normal number, I will select this and I will tell this function that the decimal separator is comma. So wherever this function finds find a comma in this text, it will put a point over there like this one, and we will find 100. By the look of this looks like a 100,000, but it is not, it is 100 only, if we know that comma is representing the decimal separator over here. Here this is simple, £100.25, and we can simply just use a number value again, and we can tell this function then when it finds the slash, means it is a decimal separator, so it will give 100.25. So very useful, very important function, and do practice it. There are more other ways of using this function, but you will only get expert in using this function if you do more and more practice. Our next function is, let's move to our next function, that is search. So our next function is search. As you can see, I have some data in this column. Search has 2 or 3 different argument, text, and within a text, and then starting number as an optional argument. If I want to search a string or a character, search and then bracket, and for example if I want to search land, and where I want to search land in this number, and I just close the bracket, it will return a hash value because it failed to find the string I'm asking it to find in that string. If I just change this D8 to D9 to move to England, so it returned 4. Means, what does that means? Means it has find the word land. It starts searching from left to right, and the first instance, whatever it finds, the first if character or a string being repeated in that word you are searching for, so this function will return the very first occurrence. So it will return 4 over here, means it's starting from the position 4, 1 2 3 4. And if we just copy this function over here, means land, you can use a cell reference if you want to, and over here what do you find? I want land and comma, and here and do not give the starting position. You can give the starting position if you want to. And number 4, number 3 at Holland, HOLC, number 3rd position, and just 2nd position. If I just correct this, Poland at the 3rd position, in Iceland it's 4th position. So you can find with the text given in quotation like over here, or you can give a cell reference. So if I give a land over here and I say is equal to search, find this in this, it will give in 4. So you can find um, um, text directly as an argument, or give the cell reference. Most of the time it is cell reference. People do use this function to find specific characters in between the cells. Very useful function, very handy function. Do practice to learn the syntax and the arguments of this function. Next function is substitute function. Again, it replaces a character or things within a text with a new text. Most of the time it is used with, for example, dates. So if you have received dates in this format, and if you want to change these dots to slashes, so you can use substitute like this. And text, what text we are looking for? We are looking for this, and then the old text we say dot, and what is the new text we want to say, it is replaced with a slash like this, and we can copy paste down there. So you can replace a character within a cell with a new character. Very easy, very handy function. Most of the time used with substitute dates, because sometimes you receive the dates in a text format which does not represents as a date, cannot use sort as a date. So you can convert those dots as slashes, and then use that cell format as a date to use in your spreadsheet and worksheets. The next function is T, probably the most shortest function, and the new function, return if the value is text, or return double quotes if it's not. For example, if I write something over here and let's see, is equal to T only, and the value, so it returns nothing. So it is not a text. Or if I change this to any text, for example, this is text, so it returns the value, yes, this is a text. Next function is text function. So the text function is also a very useful function. It converts a value to the text, and you can apply different formats as well. For example, if I say this is a number, any number, for example 0.025, and I just wanted to convert to number, and with some format is equal to text, and then you provide the number as a cell reference. I'm providing over here, and then I can provide the cell reference formats. These are the same formats we normally use for the cell formatting. If you right click and go to cell formatting, you will find all these format, and you can apply over here. So if I say I need the format in this way, see, it returned 2.5%. so these are the same formats. If I just right click and go to cell formatting cell, and all these formats you can use with this function over here. If I just cancel it out, for example, I need today's date. This is the date function we covered in our last video, and I need the date in day, month, and year format. Okay, you will get the date, but this is in a text format, as this is converting the text the number or the value to the text by applying the relevant formats as well. For example, if I just want day, I can have day. If I want to take day, if I can day this, if I put one more day, I will get a full Friday. If I want to change it to, for example, I will get April. So you can apply all those different formats and convert the value to the text as well. So this is a very useful, very handy function. You can find all these formats in again just go to format cell, and all these formats are over here. You can use all these format in this cell formatting function, and the function, what will the function do? The convert the value to the text and apply the format as well at the same time. A very useful handy function. Then a text join function, a new function, a new form of yeah, you can say concat function. But so text join, its join is missing over here. So if I put join, and how does the text join works? The text join works as similar to the concat function. It joins to text, maybe strings given as an argument, or the cell references. For example, if I say it's UK and London and the barking is the council, then again UK and Essex and the red bridge is the council, and I want to join, but I say is equal to, and text join, first argument is delimiter. So delimiter is how I want to separate the texts out. So I want to separate text out with comma. If you remember, in concat function we have to put is equal to sign in between and then apply the join function. But here you can provide a delimiter straight away, and we can simply include or exclude the blank cells. It is very important thing as well. So if I want to ignore the blank cell, I have included the blank cell, and then I simply give it the range like this over here as it is, and it has separated out, joined and separated out. If we remember, using the concat function, we can join these two texts like this, but to separate these out we have to do it in this way, comma, and then again, and then the new text, to get the spaces in between. And for example, there are 100 of these councils over here, so how many times we add this to that cell? Just add one more or two more maybe. And if we want to concat these cells together, we just keep adding this, then this, and again comma, and this, and then again comma, and then this, and then comma, and then again, and the last cell. So it is very, very difficult, and it is very, very time consuming and hectic work to do this. What the text join function has done, it has make the life easier by giving you an option in the very beginning of the text, that how you want to separate your text out. We want to separate our text out like this, and then do you want to include or exclude the empty cells? I want to ignore the empty cell, for example, and then I simply give the range over here like this, and Excel will do the rest. And I can, instead of giving just one range, I can give the whole range over here like this. It has separated out, joined the whole range together and separated out by comma, and you can obviously use whatever the delimiter you want to use. For example, if just it's to slash and press enter, and UK London barking, UK Essex barking, and so on. Very, very important and very, very helpful function, much better than the concat function. Now the last function, or no, not the last, actually the second last function, is trim. And the trim is very a simple straightforward function. It removes the spaces from a text. For example, if I just type few text giving spaces in the beginning, let's see if I can just type few words over here, like, okay, so London, and then again few spaces, Paris, and then maybe Oslo and few spaces, and then Manchester space. There are few cities names, and it has spaces in beginning or in the end. Where are the spaces? If I just click all these and press right aligned, you can see the Oslo is not right aligned exactly, because there is a space over there. So space is a character, and the computer considers space as a character, and it has space in it. If I just left align the text, you can see these are not left aligned properly because there are spaces in the beginning of the text. When you are matching the text with text, if I just type London over here and I want exact function to match, if this text matches this text, so it will return false, because these two texts are not same, because this has spaces in the beginning. Now let's see what we can do. We can, obviously these are just four cities name, but you might have a series of texts and thousands of lines. You can remove this the spaces by using the trim function, and I will just put cell reference over here and trim. It has removed the spaces from beginning or end, wherever the spaces are. So let's see, if I just right aligned in, there is no space. You can see if I just left aligned it, and there is no space on the left side. So this is a trim function that removes the spaces from the text. The next and the upper we already has used in our previous example, so we are just going to miss that function. Value is our last function in the text functions category. It converts a text string that represent a number to a number. For example, if I have a text over here, if I just type a text, and this is a number that is written as a text, and or just I write a very small number so that we can understand what I'm doing. So I will write this 10 only, and the 10 as a number. If I just add these two, it will give 10 total only, not, it's not counting this as a number, because this is string, or this is a text data type, it's not a number. So now let's convert this number to a text or value. Remember it, the number which looks like a number will only be converted to number. Any other thing, for example, if it has e in front of it, this you cannot convert this to a number. Obviously it is quite obvious. So let's just we use the value function to convert this 10 to a number 10. Here is it, and if I just add this and this, and it will give you some 20. Now this is a number, not a text. You can use this quick diamond sign symbol and open and convert this to number straight away instead of using the formula. So these are the list of that's the last function of the text functions category. We have seen all these functions with examples. I hope you have learned some new functions and you enjoyed this video, and we are going to cover some logical functions in our next video, and or I might do the lookup family first, and see how these function works, and we are going to cover all these in our later videos. So do subscribe to our channel, and so that you can get the notification for the new videos. And once again, thanks for watching.